Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to International Affairs broadcasting live from the Dhaka's SATV studio. My name is Shamsul Alam Pantho and I will be bringing you all the top headlines from around the globe. But before I do so, let me introduce our panelists here today on the program. We have Mr. Ali Ahmed, who's of course a former member customs of the National Board of Revenue and also an economist, has appeared on this show before relating to various issues that matter to the international audience, as well as our SATV's geopolitical correspondent Norman Floyd Barnes joining us from all the way in Washington, D.C. Today's discussion will begin with Donald Trump. This person is the 47th President of the United States of America. By the 12th month in his tenure, in his second term, he has declared somewhat of a war with Venezuela. The U.S. forces have captured Nicolas Maduro and his partner, his spouse, and is ready to appear in U.S. court, which Donald Trump is now threatening other countries after this Venezuela strike. I want to begin with Mr. Ali Ahmed in the studio. I know this news have been taken to storm in the social media. Today, United States President or POTUS, Donald Trump, has ordered the capture of Nicolas Maduro, has successfully done so by bombing of various military infrastructure in Caracas, the capital city of Venezuela. And now he is theorizing those who support or is in support of Venezuela shall be met with the same kind of fate. I'm talking about none other than Colombia as well. I want to understand, what is your take? How do you see this? Because as an economist, the oil markets will be shaken.
Oh, yes.
The stock market will be uncertain. I want to understand how you felt about it.
I'm coming to the explanation, interpretation later, but the time is very bad. It now seems the whole world is now going to the inevitable march of World War III. We would be lucky if the world is spared of that, because after the arrest, or as they said, capture of the president and his wife with this, China, we thought that since they have taken steps, China was involved there, but would be taking a back foot on a declaration. But China's declaration and China's interpretation, as it was also explained by Mr. Wertheimer, a great interpreter of international history and all those, they said now China is now going towards, because China said they will not spare. They want that within 72 hours, they said. Now it is not 72 hours and not left. They said the president and his wife should be released by that time. If not, then China will take some other action, maybe not a real attack, but will be doing other things which will lead their life very difficult to a very difficult situation. So that is very alarming. But and in addition to that, the bordering country of Venezuela, you have just named, his president is also threatened, and I don't know what Donald Trump is going to do. This is perhaps going to be a little too big for him to digest, I am afraid, because this is also they have broken, he has broken. It was done in 73 or 93 by President Noriega of Panama. He was taken like this, and later his photograph was shown. We saw it in the newspaper. He was kept literally in a case. He was the ex-president. Maybe he was involved in some wrongdoing or whatever. But what about Donald Trump himself? Not that he is a very clean man. It has been revealed by now. So Noriega was kept in a case. Maybe Maduro will be spared of that ill fate, but things are going to be bad. And what Donald Trump has done this time, after many years, that the international law, international order that was established basically by the Westphalia Treaty, Peace of Westphalia of 1648. At that time, there was 30 years war, and Spain was the colonizer, and Holland was a colony. So Holland was there, and there was 30 years war in Europe. England was not involved in the Central Europe and all those things. After this 30 years war, there was a conference, peak conference, more than 100 persons attended that conference, and that was in Westphalia in Germany. By that conference, two things were clear. Spain had to give independence and freedom to Netherlands, which was a colony of Spain. And the other thing was that the 30 Years' War, which was basically a religious war. The Calvinists, the Protestants, the Catholics, all these were settled after many meetings in that Westphalia, and then freedom of religion was there, and the state was also taken a lead towards sort of like a state, I should say, ruled and governed by state.
Right.
The importance of church in statehood was severely reduced, and from that time world has progressed towards the sovereignty and independence of states and all these things, and one country will not, big or small, will not interfere in another countries, because sovereignty was inviolable.
Correct.
This time, after many years, Donald Trump has violated the sovereignty of a country, has broken the basic standards of behavior internationally established by this Treaty of Westphalia or Peace of Westphalia. He has sent his army, as you have said at the beginning. They bombarded important military installations. The army people, his special force, went there in a very secured condition. President Maduro was there. They went there and then they created a blowtorch and broke the steel door and kidnapped him.
Kidnapped is the word.
That is the thing. He kidnapped him and his wife. And the news interpreters, news person was saying that not just brought in any gentle way, they rough handled this person, this president. That was too much of it.
Of course, that includes not giving any kind of respect to the chair of the president of that nation.
Yes, that is it.
Of
so
course,
that is the beginning, but
right.
It doesn't end there. He has gone, and the vice president, who is lady, who has taken, this country has given, their country has given her the current administrator, or current president,
Delcy
and
Rodriguez.
They have declared war. And
Correct.
they are going in war, and China has also given ultimatum. I think that 72 hours is over by night. China said that within 72 hours you have to release the Maduro and all that, but perhaps they will not do. In that case, China perhaps, as their word said, will not go straight forward in this war.
Right.
Probably they will tighten their grip on their on part of the main China, former Formosa,
Right.
Taiwan, and other things. So the world, I am saying at the beginning that perhaps the world is not inching. Now it seems it is jumping towards the Third World War. And if there is a war, there would be not only the enhancement of price of oil, but it will be mismanagement for the whole world economy, and none of us will be spared of the sufferings that a world war causes to the whole world. We are afraid, but then Donald Trump has started it, and China will, Russia is also doing it. There was lack of peace everywhere, but now it's perhaps it seems to have come to the boiling point now. I am afraid.
Of course, there's a huge reaction coming from China. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said China expresses grave concern over the U.S. forcibly seizing President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, taking them out of the country. They say that this is in violation of the principles of the UN Charter. I want to come to Norman Floyd Barnes, who actually joins us from Washington, D.C. It's not only China that is issuing a strong condemnation. If you look at Singapore, a nation that actually defines the Asian economy over here in this part of the world, said it is gravely concerned about the U.S. intervention in Venezuela. And not only so, I want to ask you a question. Donald Trump seems to be in the mood to take over other territories as well. This is not definitely does not include everyone, but it includes Mexico, Colombia, and he said we need Greenland. So all of these implications coming from the hottest seat in the U.S. does create the situation for a World War III scenario. I want to ask Norman Floyd Barnes, what is the unified direction? Will people come back to the table of dialogue?
Good morning. Today is the first day Congress is returning today, and they have a lot of stuff to deal with. Right now, the situation is Venezuela, the United States and Venezuela. What is our position with Venezuela? Congress is trying to figure out exactly what is our official position, while the president is saying that we are now running uh, Venezuela, while Secretary Rubio stated that we'll be not running, but we'll be overseeing the oil industry there and continue with the blockades and the stuff that they're doing now. But all indications, and you have to listen to what people say. When someone tells you something the first time without any type of reservation, you better believe them. In this case, President Trump has stated what he wants. He wants to take over oil rich, mineral rich, resource rich areas for the benefits of the American agenda. He has mentioned since this takeover of the removal of the president of Venezuela and his wife, they are scheduled to go in front of the court and the judge this morning for arraignment early this morning. He is now looking at other options, which he mentioned before: Greenland, Cuba, Colombia. He said all these places are now on his radar. As you know, coming from the news yesterday, the invasion or the kidnapping did not come without casualties. There was 40 people killed, none, no U.S. soldiers, but there was injuries, and there was helicopters damaged. But there was 40 people killed, and 32 of these people was from Cuba. So Cuba has a large influence. As you mentioned, as we stated, Secretary Rubio, who has roots in Cuba, had mentioned that Cuba should be careful. Cuba has basically impacted and influencing Venezuela. So my viewpoint is basically Cuba, look out. The United States is coming towards you. So right now the military is in the area. We have a flotilla there. We have 15,000 troops there. They're not there just to kidnap or take two people back to the United States. So there's a plan in place. This plan been in place for some time, and so now it's being activated. So now they're going after the word drug cartels and the manufacturing areas, which comes back to Colombia. Cuba is the main influence and impact to Venezuela. So you can't leave them out of the picture. China gets 70 over 75% of their oil from Venezuela. That is not going to go well with the Chinese in uh, Venezuela to fend off the Western world. So now we in a what I call yesterday a hot mess. Everybody's waking up today, figuring out exactly what they're going to do. Denmark is very upset. They're talking about doing things, military things, protect themselves. And at the same time, Nigeria is still looking at that situation. How are we going to deal with that? So our Congress right now has a lot of stuff to deal with. They're basically stating that it was not briefed by the president. The president is sticking to the Monroe Doctrine, and he said we are not at war. They say we're not at war. We just basically we are interdicting a criminal. Very familiar. So we have a lot of stuff that's happening today. It's still early here in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning here in Washington, but today is going to be a very, the building behind me is going to be lit up. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of people are upset, disgruntled,